In this video, I'm going to talk about what makes Vora Method academic training and homework help the most effective program of its kind. First, if you're looking for standard academic tutoring where you meet with a tutor a few times a week, go over any homework questions, prepare for quizzes and tests, we offer that in almost every subject, almost every standardized test. If that's what you're looking for, just email us at learn@voramethod.com and we'll be happy to set that up. But in this video, I'm going to talk about how we can actually use our group classes to give you an even higher level of academic dominance in most courses. That's going to apply to pretty much any conceptual course, anything that's very focused on principles and concepts, things like any math class, most science classes, etc. So in order to understand how this program works, we need to start by understanding what the problem is. In most school conceptual classes, for example, in most school math classes, students leap randomly from one topic to another, usually forgetting every topic as they go, sort of like this frog pictured here. As they hop from one topic to the next, learning basically nothing, what ends up happening is this. They short-term memorize the topic, they suffer through the quiz, they often do quite well in the quiz, and they forget it. Then they short-term memorize the next topic, suffer through the quiz, and then forget it. And this goes on and on. So even an entire year could pass, student has learned barely anything, and certainly not anything very important. And you'll see that there'll be a huge difference between quizzes and tests. There'll be an even huger difference in the scores on quizzes and exams, and there'll be a gigantic, gargantuan difference between how well a student is doing on their quizzes and how well they're doing on the standardized tests. The standardized tests, of course, testing your thorough long-term understanding of core concepts. At Vora Method, for our group classes, we have an approach that thoroughly corrects that. And this approach has 3 phases. So let's go ahead over here to Slack. And let's understand how this program works. The first phase of this program is about fixing any prerequisites. So for example, if you are taking algebra, we're going to make sure that your arithmetic is solid. If you're taking calculus, we're going to make sure that your algebra is solid. And that process can take a couple hours, maybe 10, maybe even 15 hours. The next phase is going to be building the core concepts of your current subject. So let's say you're doing algebra. That means we're going to want to make sure that you've mastered factoring, combining like terms, multiplying monomials, all the very, very important topics in that subject area. Now, in these first 2 areas, students can't really pick the subtopic. They can say, yeah, I want to work on algebra, and then we're going to diagnose and analyze what's going on, figure out the best thing for the student to be doing, and in the right order. We're going to be checking your work at the end of every question the way we always do, figuring out what you should be doing next that's going to have the best results for you. And that's going to cover the prerequisite phase and the core skill building phase. Now, as I mentioned before, we want to make sure that you are building a thorough, long-term, permanent understanding. So we specifically want to avoid this. We don't want you hopping randomly from one topic to another. And so at first, you're not really going to have a choice of the subtopics. You're not going to be able to do a little bit of one topic one day and then leap to something else randomly, forgetting everything along the way. Absolutely not. We're going to make sure that your understanding is permanent. How do we do that? First, we have our responsive worksheets. That means if you get, let's say you're studying algebra, you add fractions wrong, we're going to have you do the adding fractions worksheet. Get it wrong again, we'll have you repeat that worksheet. We'll repeat it as many times as we need to make sure that you master that skill. If you forget it 50 times, we'll have you do it 51 times. We're going to make sure that you learn it permanently and that it becomes part of your long-term understanding. Now, the second part of that is our review questions. I've put a question up here. Let's say that a student gets this question wrong, or even just struggles with it a bit. We'll turn that into a review question. Here's what will happen now. At the beginning of every single class, we are going to begin with your review questions. We're going to make sure that we go over everything so that you're building a permanent understanding. It's not like we're going to have you learn a thing and then let you forget it. No, we're going to keep repeating it, keep reviewing it until we are sure that you get it. Now, let's say that you do a review question, you do it quickly and efficiently. A teacher takes a look and says, listen, you know this material. It hasn't vanished. Now, it's going to be automatically turned into a pop quiz question. And what that means is at the end of every, hold on a second, at the beginning of every 10th class, so about 10% of the time, it's going to show up. So 10% of the time the pop quiz question will come up, and we'll still be reviewing it, just not every single class. Again, look what we're doing. We're trying to build a permanent long-term understanding. We're not trying to do this. This is what we don't want. Instead, we want to make sure that you are building a real, permanent, thorough understanding. Now, once we have built that core understanding, and of course address all the prerequisites, now at this point students are allowed to pick the subtopic. A student can say, I want to work on solving systems of equations with substitution, or I want to work on graphing quadratic equations. And at that point, you say, I want to work on this topic. We'll have you do a Vora method worksheet on that topic, or a series of worksheets if that's what it takes on that topic. Now, even at this phase, you're not able to bring specific homework questions into class. Specific homework questions, we only handle those in tutoring, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later in the video. But you can pick the topic. Now, why don't we want you bringing in homework questions? Because we don't want you to be following along with your school. The goal of this program is we want you to be very far ahead of your school. Miles, light years ahead of your school. So the idea is we want you to be moving farther and farther ahead, not just going at your school's pace and bringing your school homework to class. That's not very efficient. That's not really going to get you that total academic dominance that we're talking about. Now, you might be in a very unusual class. You might be in a very hard class. And so there might be questions from your homework. You might be, like a year ahead of school, but there might be some question that you need some help with, or that you want to work on or understand some concepts from. So here's the great thing. You can use tutoring, one-on-one tutoring, as needed. And we can do pretty much anything in tutoring. So our tutoring, we don't have any minimum requirements of any kind. So you don't have to sign up for a package of 10 sessions or anything like that. You don't even have to do a minimum of 1 hour. You can, if you do a tutoring session with me, if you say I think I just need 20 minutes, that's cool. We just do a 20-minute session, and everything's totally prorated. There's no extra fees or anything, any nonsense like that. So in this program, to recap, we first make sure that the prerequisites are thoroughly mastered. We make sure the core skills are thoroughly mastered. Then we let the student build on that by choosing the subtopics that they want. And if you ever need to work on something specific, like a specific homework question or whatever, or a problem set, or prepare for a specific quiz topic, or whatever you want to do, you can always do that in tutoring, and you can sign up for as much or as little tutoring, or for that matter, as much or little group class as you like.